When it comes to the internet computer, I think as of late, there's some pretty nice news that at least I can see. And it's not about the price clearly because the price isn't doing the best. But then we have to take a look at this post on X not too long ago when it comes to Dfinity. They say new partnership announced and it says Prime Vault. Now, people may be thinking, okay, what is that? Now, supposedly the basic gist of it is that when it comes to this partnership, it's focused on institutional DeFi, or should I say decentralized finance on ICP, and it's allegedly built from the ground up. Why do I think it's pretty interesting? It's because the key aspect there is, I think, institutional decentralized finance. Now, let me explain why I like the decentralized finance market. It's because that market right there is expected to be worth over $200 billion by 2030, according to Grandview Research. So that's very impressive in my opinion. Now, that's just a projection, right? And 2030 is still a ways away at this point, but I still like what I'm seeing when it comes to that. Now, not to mention, we take a look at institutional DeFi more specifically. Why do I like, the institutional aspect when it comes to that? It's because institutions, they typically have a lot of capital, they have a lot of resources, and we've seen historically how enterprise adoption helped grow the internet, right? Sure, when we take a look at the retail market, it's done very well when it comes to the internet, but at the same time, when enterprises really start adopting the internet in a massive way, historically we kind of saw the growth that did. So when it comes to decentralized finance in particular, will history repeat itself? Who knows? But having enterprises, let's say, kind of be focused on DeFi, right? Or should I say again, decentralized finance, it wouldn't surprise me if it did look pretty good. This is just my point of view. Now, some people may be thinking, okay, the timing is off when it comes to this. It's not good timing. Well, here's the thing. How is Dfinity, right, going to know what is going to happen to the price exactly when it comes to ICP during a time where they announce something? You know what I mean? It depends on a lot of factors, like the altcoin space, the sentiment, selling pressure and all this, the volume of it. There's a lot of factors. But I think, if I give it some time, let's say there is an altcoin season, let's say the altcoin space did do a lot better, maybe, right? I think stuff like this really is going to reflect well when it comes to Dfinity and also the internet computer, because I think at those times, I can at least take a look back at what happened and say, wow, they actually did things when the price of, ICP wasn't doing the best. And also, generally speaking, when the altcoin space wasn't necessarily doing the best either. So this is why I still like the internet computer. Now, I'm not telling you to do anything, and clearly nothing I say is financial advice. I can only speak on my behalf. But the way I view it is that when it comes to $100, when it comes to ICP, I just haven't stopped thinking about that, because when I take a look at what Dfinity is doing, when I take a look at the aspects of the internet computer, it just makes it very hard for me to give up on that, because, yeah, sure, the price of ICP is not doing good. I mean, being around that $3 range, even slightly below that in some cases, even just slightly above that, it's clearly not such a good thing when it comes to ICP. I totally understand that, but at the same time, when ICP was above $18, a lot of people were saying, wow, if only ICP went below $10. And a lot of my friends said that, actually. And now it's literally around $3. And this is just my point of view. I don't want to, let's say, see ICP later at a higher price and then just have all these regrets and stuff like that. Again, I'm not telling you to do anything, but then this is just my point of view. Now, granted, people like to say, okay, holding ICP so far, a lot of my friends said, have been a little bit of a regret. And I can understand that because, of course, ICP is not doing good, and we've seen something like BNB reach a new all-time high during this cycle. We saw Ethereum. We saw, Bitcoin, right? Totally aware of that. But at the same time, I just haven't given up when it comes to ICP, because when it comes to internet computer, what I really like, an aspect that is kind of surrounding it, is something called caffeine AI. Now, I get it. A lot of the talk, online and stuff like that has always been, oh wow, caffeine AI was a flop. They say it didn't do well. They say, what is that all about? Because supposedly it's a self-writing apps platform. It can basically help developers allegedly build applications, using AI, again, supposedly. And sure, sometimes people like to say, oh, it's such bad timing. And again, when it comes to the timing, sure, it may not match well with the price of ICP. But then at the same time, I think caffeine AI could be such a total game changer for things surrounding the internet computer moving forward, because I just think it's such a major thing. It just really isn't talked about that much because ICP is clearly not even above the price of $5, you know? So how can it even be a big topic to really talk about, you know, if let's say the price wasn't doing the best? But I'm still talking about it because I do find that very amazing, actually, because we have to think about just how many applications exist. I mean, it's so many. I mean, even if we take a look at decentralized applications, there's thousands upon thousands, you know? And moving forward, could maybe some of the developers want to use AI to help build their applications? Who knows? Caffeine AI, you know, maybe it could get good adoption, but it wouldn't surprise me if, let's say, that was the case, right? Maybe if it did have good adoption, because I think it is pretty revolutionary. Now, some competitors might come along the way and stuff like that, but I do really like kind of sort of the initiative that is being taken, I would say, when it comes to caffeine AI, especially right now. So yes, when it comes to ICP, it's not doing good in terms of the price, but fundamentally, I must say that when it comes to my perspective, I actually think that the internet computer improved. It may not necessarily be doing the best, again, when it comes to the price, when it comes to ICP, but when it comes to the fundamentals of the internet computer, I think if anything, it kind of, you know, improved actually by a whole lot. Now, when is there going to be an altcoin season? Sometimes you like to ask me. I have no control over that. Right, the only thing I can do is just stay patient, hold, and just wait, that's it. And we kind of have to think about the core origin of the internet computer, right? We have to think about how supposedly the internet computer is attempting to decentralize the internet. And we've seen not too long ago when it comes to, you know, Amazon Web Services and stuff like that, right? I mean, again, we just literally saw not too long ago what could happen if something is very centralized. A lot of things sometimes could, you know, have these moments where there's hiccups and stuff like that. And that's just incredibly frustrating in some cases, because imagine if someone relies on a service that depends on something like that and then it's down and then it affects the workflow. You know what I mean? And now I'm not saying that when it comes to having something very centralized, it doesn't work, because we've seen it work so far. And sure, it's going to hypothetically work moving forward, but having a decentralized version of the internet where it's kind of difficult maybe to have these outages and stuff like that, you know, that's pretty interesting for me to see, because imagine I don't have to experience any outages and stuff like that. That would just be like something I would be excited for. You know, imagine if I don't have to deal with outages and stuff like that, it doesn't affect the workflow. You know what I mean? But that's just my perspective. Only time will tell. I'm still dollar cost averaging. I'm still staying patient. I haven't given up when it comes to the internet computer. And yeah, sure, I won't be able to know the exact moment in time there's going to be an altcoin season. But at the end of the day, you know, an altcoin season, if it ever even wants to happen during the cycle, it's going to do it whenever it wants to, right? Like, I have no control over that. The only thing I can do is stay patient, dollar cost average, and that's pretty much it. And that's what I'm going to do. I'm still waiting and seeing, but I'm still staying patient because I like the fundamentals when it comes to the internet computer. And feel free to subscribe if you enjoyed this video. I greatly appreciate it. I hope you all have a nice day. It's Emily the Captain, and I'll catch you all on the next one. I'm out. Peace. Bye.